Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, and welcome again to the second session of this YouTube channel at the rate Rana MSN. At the start, I must appreciate the suggestions and feedback viewers have shared after watching the introduction about theme of this channel last week, and I welcome your opinions in the future as well. In this week, we will try to explore some very interesting insights from our research publication in the journal Chinese Public Administration Review. But before we move on to it, I would like to take you to its background and context so that we will be on the same page about understanding of the research issues and problems. So whenever we confront any national project or any project of national significance, the crux is always to develop a national consensus among multiple stakeholders of the country so that there will be smooth ongoing development. However, the policymakers decide what will be the strategies or tactics to have those consensual arrangement for a particular project in any developing country. Before we make a commentary over the article, you could see on the screen policy gaps under the energy and infrastructure projects. I would like to have your attention to one of its keywords, which is collaborative governance. You can see in the keywords. So collaborative governance is an initiative started by the public agency or government department and later on joined by the non-state actors or across the board stakeholders for policy design and implementation during development of any initiative. The key thing here is this initiative should be started by the government itself in its original design. This concept is equally important in Western and Eastern countries now, and the scholars have been trying to develop models and frameworks to test in different contexts. For example, the developing countries in Asia and also Southeast Asian states. Collaborative governance have been evolving since early 21st century. Likewise, we have witnessed in the past that there were some important administration approaches or paradigms that we can witness from the history and which proved to be really critical in reshaping the contemporary governance models practiced by different quarters of states. We need a separate session to explore those words, for example, cooperative and participative management, new public administration and new public management paradigms. So through our literature review, we have found these terms in different periods. They were important, but the content analysis we made about collaboration, and we found that since earlier 21st century, the collaborative governance and collaborative management is more crucial. And to be specific about government initiatives, collaborative governance is the one. Interestingly, we observe from different countries over the course of history back and forth interplay of ideological principles and practices, and that compromise over the fundamental ideas about government and markets is due to national crisis or some emergency in international order. However, when a state tries to sell its ideas to developing contexts, there should be a systematic quest and very critical and nuanced findings regarding enforcement of any specific model to developing world, and the way that model should be implemented is the critical question for any developing context. And such systems should regard the local context, dynamics, culture, environment in which those countries operate, as these are really crucial factors in introducing any sort of collaborative or administrative reforms in particular developing context. However, that's not the case. Unfortunately, we are observing since 7 to 8 decades, starting from the World Wars 1, 2. We have not observed similar mindset in introducing those reforms in developing contexts especially. There are many examples, let me share few of them. In United States of America, earlier in 20th century, there were debates about framing of administrative reforms or constitutional reforms. Uh, at that particular stage, there was a clear statement came out from United States of America that their executive should be separated from political representation and armed forces in the country. Probably inspired by the specialization principle that was very popular given by uh, Frederick Winslow Taylor, as the techniques about specialization was really common at that particular time. Perhaps that may be the reason they were encouraged from these ideas. But later in the history, we have found that same United States of America diminishes the dichotomy of executive powers from the armed forces, surprisingly, and by this they strengthen or empowers the presidential office and presidential authority more like socialist ideas, which is totally against the original ideological statement that they have given during the administrative reform. On the other hand, very interesting example from People's Republic of China in 1949, when they got their independence, they persist on the closed economy structure in 70s, 60s, 70s until 80, when Deng Xiaoping, their new leader, at that time introduce opening up market reforms and thereby welcomes the foreign investment to mitigate the isolation of their stagnant economy. These examples from United States of America and People's Republic of China clearly provide an idea to the researchers and students in these fields that uh, how through interplay of ideological changes any country undergoes before it reaches to the best system for its nation. So similar is the case with the developing context. When any administrative reform or collaborative structure is imposed on such state, there should be a critical understanding of their local context, external environment, and nature of that country, whether they can accept the change which we are trying to incorporate in their national fabric or not. Now, I would like to take this discussion to the academic sphere and particularly try to relate it with the collaborative governance keyword and term that I have used earlier. When collaborative governance try to be practiced, it should also be practiced in a way that suits any country, and gradually it could improve for its collaboration and engagements among the stakeholders throughout the country. Mean to say that overall design and structure of collaborative governance endeavor improve as the country's social, economic, financial indicators improve with the evolution of their local dynamics, external environment, and likewise similar socio-economic conditions. I hope this session helped you in understanding really critical and important research issue when we confront investment projects in a developing countries and try to find out models and frameworks from other developing countries which could not be the right fit. Similar way, the practical changes in the developed contexts are not right fit for the developing countries. Similar way, the frameworks and models to measure those changes or measure the collaborative structures, their health, is not right fit from the developed states to test the contexts of developing countries. And in the next session we will try our best to share the framework that we have presented as a result of our empirical analysis to measure the policy gaps in a developing countries and how we have streamlined that framework, although we have been looking some models and frameworks that were complicated in nature. When we try to practice those frameworks in the developing context where the evolution of the systems are not that much advanced. So in the next session I will try my best to share the framework. The link of the article is in the comment box. Take care of yourself and we will meet in the next session with more details. Goodbye.